part 2. This is our second hour and this is our AMMACH meeting. We're here in the beautiful Bodenham Manor, this fantastic, glorious countryside being arched over and looked after by a beautiful beech tree, not the Spanish chestnut that Miles says. We're going to have a chat with Maria next. Maria's been talking to us about some very interesting information in the break, and we're actually going to start with her perhaps first memory of a conscious experience, and that was when she was about 4. So Maria, tell us about that experience, because I think people would really like to hear about it. Can you put the light? It's great.
Yes, I was, I think, about 4 years old, and there, that was in the night. Three people appeared to me. There were a human, one woman, one older man, and one younger man, and they told me that I have been born to stop the war, and they show me some pictures.
And you're saying stop the war?
Yeah, stop the war.
Okay.
And they showed me pictures about destruction. I saw explosions, fire, trees were falling down, a lot of water.
And how did they show you that? Did they sort of manifest that image in front of you?
No, it was in my head. I saw it in my head.
Transmitted it directly.
Yeah. Then it was so horrible that I asked them to forget it. So they did it. I just remember that these few pictures, but they showed me a lot of other pictures. And they asked me if I will do it, and I said I did it. I don't know even what world war really means.
Okay, so they're asking you then if you would stop the war. That's
Yes.
what you've come here to do, but you didn't understand at 4 years old.
Yes.
That's understandable. So tell us a little bit more then.
Well, there's no more.
Oh, on that experience. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So then I said, like, I'm afraid, so that I asked for an angel, because I first thought that they are angels, but they say they are not angels, but I can call them, because I was afraid to talk to them. And they gave me some angels, some human. I thought he's angel, so he was taking me later on from the window.
Okay, so that means you went out from the window with
Yeah,
him?
I was flying from the window.
And do you remember feeling it physically?
No,
It was in your other body, your astral body?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But it was, I think so, it was just astral body, yeah.
Okay, and you were also saying that then, about 12 years old, you had another experience when they came to ask you about stopping the war.
Yeah, they came again, and as I have talked to my mother, she told me to say no because of the war, and I said that. I said no, and then I almost died.
So this almost dying, what happened? What was that event? I mean, did you have an accident? Or?
Yeah, that was on Easter. I was eating orange, so it was my orange.
So
was
choking.
Stuck. Yeah, I was choking with an orange, and I saw a man standing there. He showed me his hand, and I knew that he's my father. So I went to him.
And when you say this is your father, we're not talking about your human father, are we?
No, definitely not. But he is my father.
What did he look like?
He looked like quite like Indian or quite Oriental, maybe Gypsy. I don't know, but that kind of guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And did you feel a relationship with him?
Well, I know that he is my father.
Yeah. And did you feel a closeness? Or?
Yeah.
Yes.
I just know that he is my father.
Ah.
So I just went with him. I think I spent somewhere 2 or 3 weeks, and I remember that there, wherever I was, I said that, okay, I will come back and I will do it. So I just came back into my body. I saw my mother, my sister screaming around me, and I just came into my body, put my hands into my neck, took out orange, and that was it.
And so you're here to tell the tale.
Yeah.
Good. And we were talking during the break also about how quite a few people seem to see pictures of the Earth being destroyed, and I know we've mentioned that again. Have you had any further experiences where the Earth has been shown to be destroyed, and what the possibilities of what can happen from that?
Well, I didn't have any other destroying pictures, but I had other, like something about the Earth, concerning Earth. I was on a spaceship. It was really big ship, I think, mothership. From that ship, I could even see a space shuttle,
Oh, really?
Earth in the front. There was a yellow sun on right side, and on left side there was blue sun. And they were having some meetings on that spaceship. There were other beings. There was that Oriental guy, which I know that he is my father. Then a blue guy with a blue robe with gold ornaments. He was quite important, hierarchically quite high. And then other greys, different sizes and colors. And there was a woman with yellow hair. So they were discussing something what already happened and what steps they should take next. So I was as well there.
Okay, so you were part of this discussion.
Yes.
And was this to do with the welfare of the planet or the evolution of our Earth?
Yes. There was definitely. They were talking something about what next step they should take about what concerning the Earth. I don't remember exactly what, but I remember just an idea of it. Okay. It was definitely concerning some Earth. What next step they should take?
Okay. And again, you mentioned something about seeing Earth in a different solar system.
Yes,
Tell us a bit about that.
That was at the same spaceship.
Okay.
And there was a woman. There was a table, a white table. It looked like plastic or so. It was very clean. And she showed me, I think it was hologram or so. There was a universe. There was our solar system. I could even touch it. I feel that I took the Earth out of it and then put it back. And she told me that something like that Mercury will see the sun the first. When it will see the sun, it will go away.
And what will go away?
The Mercury will
so Mercury will disappear when it sees the sun. What does it mean to see the sun?
I don't know, maybe when the sun will rise up onto it. But she wasn't talking about our solar sun. It was some other sun. Okay. I think she was talking to me in simplistic way.
Okay.
And then when the Venus will see the sun, then it will go farther away. And when the Earth will see the sun, then it will go really, really far away. And then it appear like another universe.
So by saying that it will go away, the Earth will go away, do you mean it will transcend, it will go into a different solar system or a different frequency?
On that picture she was showing me, on that hologram, the Earth stood up and there was another universe, another solar system. There were 16 planets in a row. Earth was fifth, and there were also other planets, and the sun was blue.
Very interesting. That's very interesting. Well, thank you very much. I just want to, if you could hand the mic to Susie, just for a comment, Susie, because I know, again, you're a little bit shy of talking about some of your extraordinary life things, but and you say that it's all quite ordinary, but I don't know. I didn't think that you were quite ordinary, because when you can have 3 times a broken neck and escape death as a 4-year-old being dragged from a horse, you're obviously meant to be here, so welcome back.
Thank you so much.
And we really look forward to having some more interaction with you, and I really hope that some of our folks will come and see you.
Yes, I hope so too.
Absolutely.
Thank
Excellent.
you.
Tony, I wanted to talk to you. Just wanted to talk to you about what you're doing here at the Manor as well, because you're working. We're always very interested in health and well-being, and promoting that and educating really around that, and energy and all of the rest of that, which again humanity has been kept from. So perhaps tell us your sort of views of that and what you hope to do here at the Manor.
Okay, well, cutting a long story short, I started doing some research into free energy and anti-gravity, as I mentioned before, and that led on to other areas of research, including medicinal situations that are going on. I learned a lot about the vitamins, minerals, natural substances that all aid our immune system.
Yes.
As well as things like Codex Alimentarius that are trying to take away the nutrients and the vitamins, and any good food that we've got that is being removed from our possession.
Yes.
One way or another. And I've detailed lots and lots of the ways in which they're going about that in the book that I mentioned earlier. So one of the things I'm here to do is, now I've actually written the book and I've released the information that was important initially to get out. Now it's more of a, instead of talking about it, do something about it.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm trying to help things balance out here. in order to bring like-minded people together so that they can actually have somewhere to go to talk to people that actually have either experiences or are aware of the potentially dangerous situation that we're all in together as the human race.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm here to do. So if there's anybody out there that can bring another piece of the puzzle, I'd love to hear from them.
Yes. Yeah.
We also want to put out events such as camping weekends, coppicing, all sorts of things, permaculture, living off the land, producing our own food, aquaponics, hydroponic systems, superfoods, all these kinds of positive things, as well as
So you're
knowledge.
going to be running courses on that kind of
Yes,
thing? That's
not
great.
me personally, but
Yes,
the experts that can come here and share their knowledge through putting on a weekend course on coppicing, or a weekend course on building hay houses or dolmens or anything.
Yeah, because in fact there are some eco buildings here on the land, aren't there?
Indeed, there's a village at the top of the land that are actually building wigwams and doing all of the things that I just mentioned. So that would be lovely if we can get a few shots of that later that will really set the manor in its context as to what's actually happening on the ground here.
Yes, that's great.
It is.
Tell us some of your experiences, Tony, because I know you've had a few yourself that brings you into this whole sphere of life.
I'll just give you them really briefly. First one I had, I was walking along the seafront in a place called in Dorset. And I was looking up at the stars thinking, this is beautiful. And I just went, for some reason it crossed my mind about UFOs, and then I went, oh, you know, if they're real, please show me one. And then all of a sudden there was a spotlight. What looked to me like a helicopter spotlight came over a fort.
Right.
As it came over a fort, as it got closer, I'm not thinking about UFOs. I'd said this, put it out and forgot it. And I'm just carrying on walking. And then I'm thinking it's a police helicopter with a light, because I can see a halo around it and all this sort of stuff. Anyway, it was floating. It came over about a mile, but it was just like a leaf in the wind. It was just floating, but it was steady. It wasn't blowing around. And then it got sort of like parallel to me and the beach, and I was looking at it going, you know, what the heck's this? And then all of a sudden it started to glow and then just went vertically and shot up completely, instantly, straight out in the atmosphere. And of course I was absolutely stunned about that. That was just, what the heck just happened?
Yeah, indeed.
Anyway, that was one. There was another time over Portland Bill in Dorset where I think there was about 7 purple lights all floating over Portland Bill. I actually went into the pub, got about 6 or 7 people, said, come here, look at this. And we were all stood there watching these lights, and then all of a sudden they started blinking out one at a time. They were going, oh, it's the RAF playing tricks. And I said, what, purple lights? You know, it's like, hang on, no, this is not. Anyway, there's another one as well. I was sitting down a Sunday evening. I was sitting out in the back. We had a beautiful day at the place where I was living. Had a glass of wine. I just had a shower. I was all clean in my dressing gown. Really beautiful evening. Again, the thing came back again. At this point, I'd been doing loads of research, so I wasn't as clued down as I thought, you know, at the time. Anyway, I put the thought out again, said I'd love to see one of your ships, and then all of a sudden, probably about 30 seconds later, I'm looking out into the garden. There's a big tall tree, and then this thing floated out from the back of the tree, just like 15, 20 miles an hour maximum. And it was probably about 60, 70 foot off the ground, and it had spinning lights in it, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. Again, I went into where my landlord was in the other room. He's an ex-SAS guy, and he comes out with a pair of binoculars, and he's leaning on the tree. He's going, shit, there's lights going around it, this is happening, that's happening. So again, it wasn't just me, it's these things are real, okay? So anyway, so various experiences like that, those 3 being the main ones. There was another one, but I can't put my finger on it at the moment.
It's quite interesting too. Sorry, I was just going to say, because one of our experiences who we've interviewed, Reshad Nawoor, also in the Weymouth area, the Dorset Weymouth area, was saying that he too had done exactly what you had, just put the thought out and suddenly it appeared, and then it became quite a frequent thing for him. And there was just some occasion when it wasn't requested that it happened, and he wasn't at all pleased about that. He was quite shocked and found himself saying, I don't want to go again. I said, oh, well, that means you must have gone before. He said, yeah, I guess it must, but you know what, I don't remember about that. But he was also the guy who was talking about how in the astral, he was in the astral body, that he was aware that something was about to happen, and this being sort of rushed toward him as if it had come from somewhere and was carrying on its gait, its way of walking. So came at a pace, took him by the shoulders, put him up against the wall. He could feel this physically.
Mm-hmm.
And he then said to it, "I don't want to go." And it was a grey-looking creature, about his height, about 5'7", 5'8", all in black. Mm. And it sort of narrowed his big eyes at him as he looked, because I don't think, again, these beings are used to being confronted or challenged or in any way interacted with in a very conscious way, by those who have had experiences. So this is very interesting. I'm finding more and more people are perhaps having that opportunity or taking it or remembering it or both. And they are having an impact, because maybe it is that at this time humanity is becoming a little bit more able to take control and perhaps manage more the experiences, and becoming consensual and having consent in these experiences is basically what I think should be. And I'm not for this secrecy. So it's just very interesting that you again, in that area, in that same location as Resh was.
Yeah, there are quite a few in that location. There have been over the years. I think there was a guy just photographing the beach at one point, and then all of a sudden he looked at the photograph later, and what he couldn't see was actually there, sitting, and there's lots of them.
Yeah.
But anyway, that brings me really to the point. As I said, I've done lots and lots of research on anti-gravity, free energy, all these types of things. Yeah. What I learned, every time I learned something new, it shocked me again and again and again and again, because the level of the technology that is being hidden deliberately from us could free us from all of these constructs.
Absolutely.
Money, energy, anti-gravity, lies in the government, lies in the Vatican, lies in the parliaments, lies. They're all lies. It's lies everywhere. And not just that, they are telling you it's lies. Politics, multiple, bloodsuckers, lies. But it's look at the words, and break the words down. Government. Well, what's government? Well, to govern the mental. They see people like us as mental, because we're putting up with what they place upon us. In other words, you've got to have a law for this, a law for that, a law for that. They're building a construct, law by law by law by law, and they're taking away our privacy step by step by step by step. You can't do this because of that. And they're building this prison for us to exist in. Now, we are making conscious decisions that are going along with all of this. What we need to do is go, hey, no, we're not putting up with this anymore. Yeah. We need to become conscious that you're doing it, and therefore, when we are conscious you're doing it, our own consciousness will rise above that.
That's right. What it is. I think that sort of filters through to just every level of human experience.
Totally.
And especially in this field of experiences. The great covert nature of it. And again, I was listening to the interview with a lady called Leah Haley, who's an American who had lots of experiences of military abductions and real terrible abuse and stuff like that. And it was human mainly, but then human and ET and all the rest of that caper. And the distress, to speak of it in just even that tone, it is just outrageous.
Completely.
Absolutely, and so one of the reasons that AMMACH is around is about talking about this stuff and giving it airtime and really bringing it to people's attention, because some of it is difficult. It's not it's not all bad. It's not all terrible. Of course not. But I do believe by speaking about it more and collectively coming together and having these meetings and that kind of thing, it will just ring some more bells for people and help people come to terms with what they're going through as well. And I think that's really a vital thing. And as those layers are lifted and cleared a bit more people will feel comfortable and also feel that they've got a support, or at least someone that they can speak to and meet, and therapists that are available psychologically and emotionally for them. And we were hoping to have today a very interesting person who was a psychotherapist, and they couldn't make it at the last minute either, which is very interesting because they're a clinical psychotherapist, and I hope that they connect with us again. And if they'll do, I'll feed that information around. But they have a great interest in this field, and I think that's wonderful. Again, we need more and more people coming forward to ground the experience in the world in which we are currently, and then to bring that up. So
that's what I mean. If anybody's listening to this interview and you can make it over to Bodnam in Herefordshire, I'd love to sit down with you and maybe give you a different point of view on why things are happening and how they're happening and how they all fit into the bigger picture. But absolutely, that's what it's about, making some changes on the ground. Be the change rather than just any other way. Just get in there, say, right, okay,
and open up topics, open up conversations, open up debate about these sort of things, and try and again raise awareness. And kind of brings me back to Josa again. I wonder if we could have another word with Josa, because sort of coming up to present day, Josa, I'd be quite interested to know how you find things currently, and how how are you doing? Are you well, having had your experiences, and how are you managing things?
Well, the torture is 24/7, and just now in this circle they've been doing their favourite little trick, which is to make me go to sleep and then shut me awake all the time. So I haven't got narcolepsy or anything like that. It's just a silly little trick they play all the time. I'm woken up every night. I could be tortured with anything. I'm never allowed to sleep through. I'm woken up some things like 1 minute before the alarm goes off, just to say that they are in control. Whatever I do, they've very much more sophisticated things in the last year, with memory manipulation, taking memories away, or accessing all my memories so that they can then act as if they're me, trying to speak as me in my head. And I'm coming to the conclusion very strongly that I can't trust any thought. It's like that's the spiritual side. I need to be in the present moment all the time, and to examine every thought and say, is that me or is it not? And to very carefully decide how to absorb. It teaches me a lot about how everything is just energy.
Yeah, so you mentioned the very strong word of torture, and a lot of people have been through so much stress. It's really caused them sort of post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's what they have to live with. What manner does the torture take? Is it that you're always disturbed from sleep, always awoken? In what manner is it? Does it come in from a particular source that you know, for example? Does it have a particular feeling? Or perhaps tell us a little bit about that so we can have a better understanding.
It's so manifold, and it's been going on so long. I suppose that's what they want it to be, as if it's normal. As if it's normal to me. My body has changed extremely. I've put on huge amounts of weight because it's so difficult. That's one of the ways they seem to be wanting to manipulate me, is to make change my weight and make me very overweight. So it's difficult to be active, because there seems to be a very strong theme all the time of trying to prevent me being active and going out into the countryside, whatever they imagine that I've been doing. There is still fired at in my limbs, and very recent, earlier this year, I don't know what I'd done to. I talked about my back, which was an extreme injury, because that's another pattern, that they cause a very extreme injury, and then they worry it like a scab to keep it there.
Right. What happened to the back? Just
as if fired into very straight.
Oh, right.
But
yes,
earlier this year, there was
right.
another severe injury was caused in the bottom of my lung. I just turned out the light. Usually they wake me up and do it, but this time, as soon as I turned out the light, something started to bore into my lung here, and then it caused. It's a permanent injury now, and it caused a chest infection at the time, which took a long time to go away.
Okay. Do you have any idea where this is being done from, or how? Do you know if it's, for example, from the place where you used to work, or do you know if there is a particular location to it?
No, I don't know. I don't believe myself personally. I don't believe it's from there, because I think it's gone to a much higher level. I think they are more like ordinary agents, if you want to say it, in inverted commas. They work with humans, and they do things like literally follow people around in cars. I think this is very sophisticated torture from. Because I also was this year I was woken up and something, because I have I think it's a physical chip in my right shoulder, but this was something that was inserted into my brain, and I believe that could only come from either working with aliens or that it's alien technology.
Right.
To insert it consciously.
Yes. Again, that's been noted before. It's quite interesting. There's a lady who we were talking to recently, and she had sent off a hair sample to be tested by a chap who apparently is brilliant at this and goes sort of way out of the box in his analysis. And he came back to her and he said, have you... and he knows nothing about her except her name and the hairpiece, so there's no other information. And he said, are you in a war zone? She said, no. And he said, well, have you just come back from a war zone? She said, no. And he said, well, he said you have radiation damage to the bottom of your brain. And she said, what, microwave? He went, yes, how did you know? She said, I know, I'm being attacked. She said, I'm aware of it, and they're trying to stop me breathing as well, with damage to the lungs. So I don't know who these covert people are, and I don't know how they get triggered, because certainly the stalking element and what's called gang stalking, which sounds so horrendous, I know several people who have experienced that and spoken about it. And I just wonder how the heck the people who do it, who seem to be, in the locale of the person who's been targeted, how do they get paid? Who is their master? I just wonder how they're triggered to start doing things, because it seems, somebody warned me once, said, Joanne, be careful, you might start finding yourself under attack from random acts. And I said, well, actually, that's quite interesting, because my car was randomly attacked earlier this year, which is very interesting because it happened, the perpetrator then went on to damage my dad's car and did it twice or three times, I can't remember now, but it was bizarre. I mean, this person was clearly a slightly psychotic individual, but whether those people are triggered because they have that baseline ability for psychosis, I don't know, and they are then driven with mind control. I don't know what anybody else thinks, but if anybody wants to say anything, let me know and I'll hand over.
If I may just say one thing, I do firmly believe there is an element of just bullying in there, and it isn't direct, it is sort of just anarchic.
Right, okay. Well, that's interesting, but I still find it peculiar that, with the history that you've had of ongoing, I assume it's ongoing, is that correct?
Yeah.
Of ongoing being targeted, that nothing is random.
Right. Well, thank you. All right. Yeah.
I mean, this is the point. I mean, there's HARP weather control, which literally uses frequencies to control people on a mental level as well as on a physical and emotional and energetic and many other different layers. They're just different frequencies. It's as simple as that. They just adjust to a frequency, and then they use that particular frequency for a means.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning. There's so many different energy weapons out there that you're using, including in space.
Yes, of course.
9/11 deatomised the actual the buildings themselves.
Yes, I think Dr. Judy Wood's work on that is fantastic and absolutely on target. So I don't know if anybody else has anything to contribute on the mind control side of things, whether they'd like to talk about that, Jeff.
Quite interested to say something about anti-gravity. You mentioned that just now. Back in 1990, I think it was 90 or 91, we used to drink in a pub in Reading. Pubs used to kick out about 11 o'clock. Well, everything used to shut down much at that time. It was back in the Thatcher years. So, if she was out at 12 o'clock at night, you'd be arrested probably, or searched at the very least. But yeah, we left the pub one night. There was about a group of about 17 of us. We travelled about half a mile to a place near the river where there's a play park, and we was just hanging out there as boys, girls, just hanging out. In the distance, I saw what looked like aircraft landing lights of an aircraft approaching. but they were much bigger, bright, huge. We just watched it as we was talking, chatting, and it came towards us slowly, and when it actually got over us, it was very low. It was about less than 5,000 feet, I'd say. I'm no airman, but I know what 1,000 foot is, and it was probably about 3 or 4 less than 5,000. It was a large triangular craft. There was a bit of cloud around, but most of the sky was clear. This thing was massive. It was football pitch sized. It wasn't making any sound apart from the air it was displacing as it came through. We watched it go over our heads, all of us, and slowly go in a dead straight line off towards Greenham Common, where the Americans used to have all their nuclear bombs based. And recently, since I've heard the Barry King material from one of Miles's videos, I made the connection. I thought that craft was going in that direction. It was towards Berkshire. But the thing is, it had landing lights on. It was massive and it was low on basically a clear night. So it was meant to be seen, I think, for some unknown reason. I can't understand why. Yeah. But it wasn't powered by normal means like jet engines. Yes. So when I hear people speak about the secret space program and anti-gravity, I know things exist because I've seen it with my very own eyes, along with about 17 other people. So yeah, I know there's like a lot of secrets that are kept from mankind, all the energy, the anti-gravity.
Well, that craft that you're talking about was the TR3B. If you do some research on the types of craft and what powers them and all the rest of it. Repeat that? TR3B.
Well, I have had a look at some of those, and they seem to have one big light on each corner, and I've heard a lot of interviews with people that have actually seen those craft, the TR3B, and seen them hovering and flying about. It didn't seem to be the same, and I haven't, in all my research, I haven't seen anything that matches what I've seen. I could draw a picture of it. We had a large red panel on the underside of it, a big rectangular panel, and on the back of it, as it was going away, it was going too slow for its height and size to be powered by conventional means. On the back of it just had another huge rectangular dark red panel, and it had a sculptured bodywork on the underside, and the lights were at the front of it. They were huge, and they were kind of behind the lights was sculptured back, and on each wingtip it had a small white light. And I've never seen anything in all my research that matches it since, sort of thing. So
probably just a newer model. You've got a lot of these things out. There's pyramids been floating around recently in Russia and various other places. Yeah. I don't know if you're aware or not.
Yes. Yeah.
Can I just? Are these humans UFO or aliens UFO?
I think those with the TR3Bs in general are human UFOs, probably using alien technology.
With alien technology, but in collaboration with probably the small greys or whatever ones have give the technology to the governments back in the day.
Lots of different races are involved in this program. The way I see this is the human race coming to its pinnacle as a conscious being consciously aware of what we've lived in previously and have a different perspective on it now. Instead of being in it, we can look above it and get above it and look at it from a different angle. We know vaccines are dangerous. We know they're piling fluoride in the water, and we know the pesticides are in the food. Okay, we've done that. We've got that, guys. Now we need to put the pieces together and understand why. And that's the point where we just leap into a different perspective, and that's the consciousness leap that I'm talking about. It's right, got it. So why were you doing it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Connect it together. Right, I understand it now. Got it. And that's the point.
Do you know why the humans are using this UFO?
To get around, to travel, but I mean, that's just one tiny piece of it. The point is they have all this technology that they're keeping away from us, and they're doing the opposite to us. We're getting poorer and poorer and poorer, weaker and weaker and weaker, and they're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at us to keep us dumbed down and shut down. And no, it's not working. They know it's not working. Plus the galactic alignments are all in our favour as well, with the higher densities. Everything all together is just, we're massively leaping ahead, and they're trying to slow us down. Chemtrails again, geoengineering of the atmosphere. It's just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at us. It's not going to work.
Okay, so we're winding down, but I'd like to ask Young if he has any thoughts about what he's heard this afternoon, having chatted with people and knowing that you're writing your book. What have you got from this afternoon?
The problem for me is how to establish Maria's, in terms of Maria's experience, to what extent this is real and to what extent this is kind of dreamed fantasy. It seems to me there is no objective kind of criteria by which we can tell the extent to which really you are dreaming. For example, when you are shown the image of the Earth, explosion and forest falling down, this kind of thing. This is one of the most serious problems the researchers like me face, and whether the experience was experienced during a kind of dream or in an altered state of consciousness, because it seems you were too young at the time, and there was no way to tell in what kind of conscious state this was happening. Really, do you have any idea about that?
Well, I think that when I met them when I was 4-year-old, I think it was very real. It was very conscious, like now. But other times it was in my dreams. So I think it could be sometimes physical and sometimes I think more astrally. I can feel the difference in those dreams. That sometimes I feel very light, like I think it's just my soul or so. And sometimes I'm very physical. When I'm physical there, I'm not aware of what's going on, and they are explaining me things. And when I'm astrally there, I know what's going on. So that's the way, how can I say the difference?
I think also that Young, many people, experiencers have seen this image, for example, of the Earth. So you could ask really every single one that, but it's a very common theme, very, very common. So, which must lead us to think that there is more than chance or coincidence about this, and that it has a real message for us, whatever form of consciousness we're in, and that we need to pay heed to that. And I think this is again our problem. We're very much in the analytical mind, and yes, we do need rationalization, of course, but we override the heart, the gut, the intuitive instinct, and that, I think, is what needs marrying up much more with the intellectual angle to bring in the balance. And I think that perhaps we're coming to that point, because certainly I'm a very pragmatic kind of person, and I, as much as the next person, want to see evidence, but we do have to allow for this extra element, this other aspect of our being, in my view, and we have to give it as much weight as we do the intellect, if not more. When you think that the heart puts out something like 60 times more energy than the brain, which is scientifically documented or proven, or is it 600 times more? Anyway, either way, it's a lot. That must give us a clue about what we need to pay some attention to, and maybe help us orientate our, how we perceive things, take that into account a little bit more. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Anybody else would like to say a few closing words? Joseph or Tony?
I just wanted to point out, this is probably, you might want to edit this out or you might not, but people need to realise that if we've got anti-gravity and we've got free energy, because you can't separate the two once you understand the concepts, then why, it's okay, let's say alright, it's alright we've got oil, and then we've got gas, and we've got, you know, all of these different power sources, but one of the things that we need to wake up to fast, and I mean fast, is the fact that nuclear energy is dangerous to to life in general, to life worldwide, and we also need to wake up to the fact that people like Professor Chris Busby, Michio Kaku, I think that's pronounced something close, have all talked about the dangers of atomic, not necessarily weapons, because you've been fooled on that as well. But anyway, we don't need nuclear energy. And then when you look at how they've built the plants, where they've built the plants, the fact is they've built them on fault lines.
Yes, that's an interesting one, isn't it?
They've stored spent fuel on top of the actual atomic chambers, so that if anything goes wrong, and it can easily go wrong, the actual spent fuel can fall into the reactor and create, you know, the potential here is to wipe out pretty much life on Earth if all these go up. So we're in a human race against time to be aware of these things and to act quickly before they start setting these things off.
Yes.
Because that's why we've got nuclear energy, I'm afraid. It's not the fact that, oh, we're hiding the free energy, it's the fact we want you to have that. And there's a reason why they want you to have that. So we've got to seriously, quickly get conscious of the fact nuclear is bad and we don't need it. It's negative. It's going to hurt us unless we remove ourselves and come out with the free energy and say, right, that's it. Time's out. You know, you're leading us down the garden path. Prime ministers, politicians, all the rest of it, and they're leading us straight into a hell of our own making. Basically, we could make this heaven on earth or hell on earth, and it's our decisions collectively that are going to make that into the end result, and that's what they're trying to warn us of. That's why they're showing us these images.
Yes.
So it's wake up time. We've got to seriously sort this one out now.
Yeah. Joseph?
Yes. It may
Just bring the mic a little bit further.
may sound simplistic because, of course, I'm learning all the time, but I very encourage everyone to visualise the new all the time, because then we are calling that into existence and putting light out there. That to me is very important, as well as acting as much as possible, not just visualising, because we as humans we have to act on what we visualise, but constantly don't allow those negative energies, constantly put light in and visualise the new.
Love them and learn from them. They're lessons in life. So, okay, we understand, now let's move on to the next one and the next one and the next one. Put them all in perspective. Don't be fearful of them all. You've learnt your lesson, now move on. And that's the point.
Quickly, I would like to say that I would like everyone to become aware. And the one way to do that is to do your own research and look into things. And as Tony was saying, that time is moving on very quickly, and we really do need to lift our energy up in this world and our consciousness up. It is extremely important to do so.
Totally.
So please, please look into it. Thank you.
Thanks, Susie. Thanks, Susie. And I'd also just like to just flag up the Olympics are upon us shortly, and the Illuminati cards would have us believe that there is going to be a combined terrible disaster involving London and who knows wherever. And there was recently a Japanese video put out, I believe, which also goes along the same theme of destruction. So the seeds are being really sown for August 11th, 12th. And you know what? We're not having it.
That's right.
We say no to destruction and yes to life. So let's again emulate what Joseph has said and just allow those images to come across our mind's eye and to let them go in light and to put no energy to them at all, certainly not fear. They're just playing the game, but so are we. Now we're players, we can be consciously part of this. And I think that's where it gets exciting and where we can really impact our own lives as well as those of others by just simply showing our light and sharing our love.
And manifest the future that we really can have, which is
absolutely
travelling the stars and learning about all the stuff that's been hidden from us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'd like to just say I liked at the end of your AMMACH 04 report, towards the end, Miles made a speech basically saying the cat is out of the bag. Certain governments are just making themselves look silly with their continued hiding of what's going on. So I think they need to come clean with us and let everyone know the truth.
No, thanks. So that's a hello and goodbye from all of us here at Bodenham Manor. So thanks, Ray. We'll have a look round Bodenham Manor, courtesy of Tony and yourself shortly, and we'll put some of that out on YouTube as well. Susie Eubank, thank you ever so much for making the trip, and so glad you're with us. Maria, thank you so much, little ray of sunshine that you are. It's great to have you on board. Joseph, thank you. I hope you felt some connection with us today. And Jeff, your lovely energy and nature, thanks very much for sharing and coming along. And Young, I can't wait for you to speak for us, and I can't wait to read your book. Miles, as usual, we know that the cat is out the bag. And boys, thanks very, very much. Take care. Goodbye from Bodenham. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks to all of the lively livestock.